what the acronym stands for.
And we're on the air.
It's probably nothing terribly interesting.
Special Cybernetic Attack Team.
Yeah, or SCAT.
Okay, yeah.
Like, and I thought Gundam got really ridiculous with that sometimes.
Oh, here's the best part. It wasn't even called that in Japan. It was called Final Mission.
Yeah. So how do you get that?
That's a much more appropriate title.
How do you get that?
Wait, I got a better one. And in Europe and Australia, it was called Action in New York.
Both of those are infinitely like someone had to be playing a practical joke.
Yeah,
that
was just an excuse to call it that.
Change a thing.
They didn't like the game. They wanted to call it shit, but they knew they couldn't market that.
So yeah, someone's just like playing
a prank. It's like, you know what? I'm leaving here in 2 months. I'm out. Dude, you sounded suspiciously like Muttley there.
yeah, I was about to say.
It's like,
yeah, I know.
Fucking Dick Dastardly.
Fucking, yeah, exactly. Fucking
Penelope Pit Stop.
Fucking, what was the name of that? Wacky Races?
Yes.
Yeah. Now I gotta look up the fucking Wacky Races.
Oh shit.
Look at these names were clever.
Fucking Wacky Races.
Oh, Cavemen, was it?
Oh, okay, here we go. The Slag Brothers, Rock and Gravel. Is the Gruesome Twosome in the Creepy Coop. Professor Pat Pending.
That show was popular.
Remember that shit? The converter car just changed into whatever suits the
plot.
Whatever suits the plot the most in whatever episode.
That's a pretty clever one, but
wasn't there like Peter Perfect with the really obvious
Peter Perfect in the Turbo Terrific.
It was the most phallic looking car ever. And Penelope Pit Stop.
Which totally doesn't sound like a porn actress. Fucking
Red Max in the Crimson Hay Baler.
Hanging out at fucking truck stops, giving people HJs behind the fucking 7-Eleven looking deal.
That was the Mafia one.
The Anthill Mob in the Bulletproof Bomb. Luke and Blubber Bear in the Arkansas Chugabug, the Hillbilly Machine.
Of course.
And then Sergeant Blast and Private Meekly. Plus special.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Fucking Wacky Races.
Wacky Races. That being said, I still think the bad guys from Captain Planet have it beat.
Loot and Plunder.
Verminous
Scum. Duke Nukem, no relation.
Yeah, exactly. Hoggish Greedley. I mean, come on.
Greedley.
Like, it's almost just like they were looking at villains and going, the villains they had created, and go, how can we describe this person?
We need to describe this person's entire character with their name. Okay. Well, what's this guy do? Well, he's a greedy corporate person who all he does is loots and plunders things. I got it.
Loot and plunder. Yeah. But it's funny because if you watch all those old cartoons, not just of Captain Planet, but in general, you'll watch the opening. How many of them had the opening theme song that actually described the actual fucking show?
Yeah, that's just the prologue to the whole show.
Yeah, basically, it's just like the little sing-song thing is pretty much the entire abstract of what the show is all about.
So you don't actually have to watch the show in series. They can just syndicate it and put on whatever episode and you'll get it.
My favorite one of those.
You could just roll the 90-second fucking song and it's like, okay, I got it.
My favorite one of those where they describe the plot in the intro is Macron 1.
The horrific original dub of Sailor Moon did this.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Where they
like for stuff like Captain Planet's like because there is a first episode of Captain Planet.
Have you ever seen it?
They don't need it because I have seen it. I saw it like once.
You know what was a fucked up
I'm saying,
episode?
do they really it? Because they explain the whole plot in the first 90 seconds of every single episode.
Right, but did you ever see the episode where the one high schooler has AIDS?
Yeah, I just realized the fact that I keep forgetting that Gaia was voiced by Whoopi Goldberg. That explains everything.
I honestly haven't seen it in such a long time. I honestly don't remember that. Which is bad because I remember almost every other voice, especially Wheeler's, that fucking like I'm white trash from fucking, New Jersey or whatever.
New York, no, Brooklyn specifically.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah. He's a redhead, so he's clearly an Irishman,
He's the representative of America, a kid from Brooklyn.
Yeah, who's
Central American.
Yeah,
subpar intellect and
it's not my problem.
Yeah, generally acts like a douchebag. So
it's not my problem.
Yeah.
I love how they changed Soviet Union to Eastern Europe.
That was actually
from
funny.
The Soviet Union. Whoops.
From the Soviet Union.
This thing's certainly gonna last.
Whoops. Yeah. Well, that's it. That doesn't amuse me as much as old Street Fighter. Zangief. USSR.
See, that one definitely, because that was made in like 1991. Street Fighter 2.
Well, they must have did all that work before.
That had to be the only
before it kind of did its thing, and it was just like, well, fuck it all. We're not re-vocalizing that. Screw that.
It was too close to the release date.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can't very well go on and fucking.
Well, that's not even the most egregious thing they did with Street Fighter 2. Balrog, anyone?
Yes.
And Bison, if you know that story. Check it out sometime if you don't.
That. Yep.
Right.
The show started.
Yep. Sounds good. Hang on. I got to close out the thing so I don't end up getting slowed down. And there we go. Can't have too many things open when you're trying to record. Or you can.
Yeah, my beast of a computer.
Oh, I have a pretty good fast one,
really needs
but I'm not.
upgrading.
I just don't want to chance it. That's another reason I don't actually use my camera. Outside of the fact that it sucks, it's built in.
Yeah, no, you're really never gonna find a really good built-in webcam.
Yeah. So I've honestly thought about just putting a piece of black tape over it and saying "fuck it,"
All right. In 3. Hang on.
Hey, before we go on, one last thing. I read earlier that sex toys were recording what you were doing with them, with your sessions with them.
Yeah. There's quite a few there. So as a matter of fact, let me
Bluetooth sex toys.
So you say that like you're making a joke, but it's actually a real thing.
Yeah,
so
that's not even a joke.
Yeah, there's sex toys that connect to an app, and you can use the app to like change how the sex toy operates.
Right.
While you're using
Why won't it connect? Why won't it connect?
Yeah.
Come on.
What happens is while you're using the app, it's actually collecting data from you. Now it's unclear for the most part. It's unclear what that and to be 100% with it. Every app you ever use is collecting data from you while you're using it.
Oh, sure.
That's not the alarming part, but the alarming part is what data is it collecting?
Samples.
What's it doing with that data?
DNA samples.
So I think pretty recently there was one that had a camera on it.
Yeah.
And like it was collecting recordings from that camera, so that's a problem.
Yeah, that's not going to be used as blackmail or anything. Okay.
The revenge porn market.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start the show.
Pleased to be meeting you from Soviet Russia. No. Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to NTR Radio on Time Horse News.
Grr. I am K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
I had to do it because I was gone last week. We had some severe inclement weather going on. Flood warnings, tornado warnings, the whole shebang.
K-Guys got
Cthulhu
swept
flying.
Got swept up by a tornado and had to travel through Oz.
No, it gets. Please tell me you mean the actual mystical place and not the prison system.
Yeah, no, I mean the place with the yellow brick road and not the place with the showers,
butt rapes and all that. Yeah, but to continue on that wasn't the only thing that happened though. In between that and this episode that we're doing now, a water main broke right across the street, and there was a boil order.
Ooh.
So like this entire basically area I live in, you could not use the water without, boiling it. So that lasted a couple days.
It's basically the apocalypse down in your end.
It felt like it, just because it's like, gee, could they hit us with anything else here? It's like, oh, okay, let's have some jackass break the water main.
It's like when you're playing SimCity and you build up your city, and it's like, it's like when you're 7 and you're playing SimCity and you build up your city and like, okay, let's turn on all the disasters at once. Let's turn on fire. Let's turn on the flood. Let's turn on the hurricane. Let's turn on the tornado. Let's turn on the earthquake. Let's turn on the alien invasion. Let's turn on the rioters.
I was gonna say, what about the looters? Yeah. Gotta have them in there.
I was getting there.
Yeah, you got there. So, how is everybody? I'm okay, all things considered.
Good.
All right.
Again, sorry I couldn't join in on
my end.
Sorry I couldn't join in last week, but tornado warnings.
You would have gotten to hear me go on the Harmony Gold rant for the 17.5 time.
Oh yeah, we were talking about, we started off with like figures, and then we were talking about like BattleTech, and then he went into his Harmony Gold rant. And
speaking of them and Macross, apparently on Amazon Prime you can actually get Macross. But it looks really ass. It looks like, from what I understand, it looks like it was taken from a old VHS rip.
I mean, to be fair, I would say it's pretty unreasonable to expect a really good fucking version of Macross anywhere.
Yeah, they have a Blu-ray already. Yeah, they have a Blu-ray rip.
Yeah, but this is clearly not taken from that. It looks.
Well, I know. I'm just saying.
Looks like pretty ass. I mean.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So. Supernatural Fortress Macross, English subtitled. Right underneath that, they have Robotech: The Complete Series, digitally remastered.
Don't you just love that?
And naturally, they got Macross Plus, Macross Plus Volume 2, all that. But let me check this out live and see just how ass it is.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I should point out we're not trying to shill Amazon Prime by any means.
Well, if it's Macross Plus,
I'm certainly not.
It's probably still the ancient manga entertainment. So probably, yeah.
Because again, we haven't gotten a new release of that in how the fuck long.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to slog it out until it comes out officially.
They got an ad for the Grand Tour pre-playing on this.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious. Which I don't mind. I actually need to watch the Grand Tour. For those who don't know, the Grand Tour is like the new version of Top Gear. Clarkson got booted.
Didn't he get in trouble for just letting his mouth fly?
For punching someone, I think.
Oh,
or for at least swinging at someone.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, this looks pretty ass.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's quite obviously not a particularly modernized version.
That's what I'm saying. Is the girlfriend pointed it out, and I was like, "Ooh!" And she's like, "Don't bother. It looks like crap."
It looks okay considering, but it's like
it's okay if it's an old VHS you had in your collection, maybe.
It quite obviously has not. They quite obviously have not done anything with it since Jazz era.
State of the art laser disc. Betamax version. Like no.
Frank,
no. It's like in Eastern Europe when they had those magnetic tape versions of shit. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like this really like it's a version of things that you could only get there, and you could only probably play it there too.
Exactly. What they need to get is that reel to reel. It's like old ass tapes that they like. No, those
like
tapes that you always see in old
the episode. You gotta flip it.
Yeah.
Like you're showing it on a projection.
Find some way to put it on a vinyl.
Yeah.
Like an LP.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever see those video games that were on cassettes?
No.
No. Like you mean cassettes, right?
Yes.
Good. Like
yes.
you played them in your boombox, right?
Yeah, those type of cassettes. But
what the fuck?
It was a format in the 80s. Besides cartridges and discs and floppies, there was also cassettes like the Commodore 64, for example.
Wow. I can see why this didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
The same cassette tape.
Yeah, wow.
We don't need those anymore. We got zip discs.
Like I said, go over to Eastern Europe, like Poland or whatever. At the time, it was under the Soviet Union, where they had those magnetic tapes and shit. Like instead of a CD or even just a regular cassette or vinyl, you had a magnetic tape. It's like, what the fuck is this thing? That's got to be
player.
Exactly. It's got to be one of those things like when people vacation over to Europe and they see those plug outlets and they're like, what the fuck? Yeah, they're just looking at it. It's all funny looking and shit.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll tell you one thing though. As ass as this master looks, it's still cute as hell.
Oh yeah. Well,
there's no way you can ruin that.
Here you go, Nubis. Look, for the Commodore 64. This is what.
Okay, let me check. I'll take a look at it while we're at here too.
Oh, I should put. You know what? I should.
What the fuck?
I'll put in.
Are you serious?
Wow.
Wow. Might as well get an abacus in here. It's funny. Okay. So anybody want to throw out some anime they've been watching? I unfortunately have not had a whole lot of time with it.
Well, I'm caught up on Girls Last Tour. Still amazing.
So can you divulge without being too spoilerific or no?
Not really. It's one of these things that really needs to be experienced.
Oh, okay.
Because watch the show, so I don't want to talk about it too much, which is painful to me because I really want to talk about this show.
Right. Okay.
It's one of those times where I wish I was still running with my old anime club, so I'd have someone to subject to the show to.
That's an interesting choice of words.
Well, my anime club ran like a benevolent dictatorship. So.
And apparently now it's just run like South Sudan.
Well, that's why they don't run it like a benevolent dictatorship anymore, and that's the problem.
Oh, remember who I was telling you?
Who really doesn't care what anyone in their club thinks. They just they know the proper direction of the club, and the leadership. If the rest of the leadership isn't on board with it.
Remember I told you about a certain someone?
Because that's how I operate.
Remember I told you about a certain someone that complained about his anime club?
Is that the one where they tried to watch Toradora and someone got pissed?
No, not that. That
Oh,
a blue bear. A
Does
certain
have
blue
an
bear.
anime club?
No, he went to an anime thing. And he wanted to show him something.
Why?
Well, the thing. The problem with most anime clubs is that they're not run by me. Because all and kind of joking, kind of serious. Because I hear about like this is weird to me. I hear so much about like so many horror stories about anime clubs, and I'm like, how does this ever get? Like, how does this get to this level? And what I realize the problem is they don't have strong leadership. So they don't have a leadership.
It's what's the latest insert Shonen Jump title.
No.
Like, you say that jokingly. I'm not. That's
I'm not
actually
joking.
what some of these clubs do.
I'm not joking. I know. I'm not being facetious. All right.
But it's like, the reason is that they don't have strong leadership, and the reason they don't have strong leadership is because whoever's in charge, it doesn't have more passion for anime than everyone else in the club. Isn't so infinitely more into anime than the rest of the club, and wants to show everyone that.
Anything else you watched, or?
I actually started on a certain magical index.
Stabbing the ears of nuns with dipping pens.
Oh yeah.
No, that's in the second season.
As opposed to using a cross to do it. Want.
I don't really have an opinion on it yet. I'm only 2 episodes in.
Yeah. We know okay. You're at least okay with it because even 2 episodes is enough for some shows.
Well, yeah, I follow the 1 episode drop rule, and the first episode reined me in at least that far. So I'm 2 episodes into that, and enjoying it so far. I'm definitely gonna watch more.
They'll end up pulling an Infinite Stratos on you and making you mad.
4 episodes in, they're gonna completely throw everything good about the show's premise out the window and piss me off.
It's always annoying when that actually does happen, when you're kind of into a show and then they just do something really either that doesn't make a whole lot of sense or it changes the entire direction of it.
I've been watching that, and that's pretty much about it. Haven't started on anything else from this season, particularly because it's really easy just following one anime.
Right.
If I try anything else, I'm gonna fall off on all of them. So I figure I'll keep up with Girls Last Tour because that's really got me.
Well, I already told you which one you should be looking at.
Years back, I tried to do the thing where I'm watching anything that looked interesting. Oh man, that was a terrible idea because you'd be like trying to balance like a dozen shows, and then eventually you would drop a few, but that did not work well with the schedule because it'd be like, okay, Mondays and Wednesdays these come out, Tuesdays and Thursdays these come out.
I don't mind doing that, but that's me.
Yeah, but some of us have jobs though and things.
I'm nor the inclination to do that. And plus, if I tried that, I'd fall off on all of them instead of just ones that I don't like. Skipping the ones that I don't really need to watch right now, and following the one that I really feel like is gonna stick with me. And that's
I don't really operate that way because I need the I like the screen caps and the stuff as it comes out. Because that's the way I work. I save everything. I'm one of those crazy archivers where I need like not just the show, but I need the screen caps as they come out. I need the GIFs. I need the official art.
Yeah,
that's just the way I operate.
Yeah, I don't have the time for that kind of stuff.
It's all of it or none of it.
Yeah, like I said,
my thing is I can just get the screen caps at any time. Like I've been progressively capturing more and more Amagami SS screen caps, and that's a 2010.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't take the screen caps. I get them from like the Japanese message boards and 4chan. So
yeah, I have no desire to consume other people's screen caps.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could use them if I was probably like putting together some kind of article or something like that, maybe. But
yeah,
even then, I usually take my own.
Yeah, well, you already know why I save everything. It's because I need it's I'm very reference point. If I'm doing art and such, I need every single reference point that I can gather.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Somebody said it. Bitch, did you just call them GIFs?
GIFs.
Let's not.
Does anybody really
get
care
into
about
debate?
I don't care. It's either or.
I don't care. I don't care. I only care when other people start to care. I get on my GIF high horse, and that how we don't pronounce GIGGLE jiggle.
Drawing Girl says, "Stop slandering Index." Look, all I'm saying is there's a scene from the second season where they're nuns and they're stabbing their ears with dipping pens.
Okay, so
it's non-ironic too, because this is the height of light novel storytelling.
Which it's
made by JC Staff.
My thing. Does anyone here know the context for that?
No, because I don't.
Because if the context makes sense, then maybe it's I'm saying if the context makes sense, then maybe
they were trying to like cancel out a sound that was coming out or something. So basically, forcing themselves to make themselves deaf. That's why they were doing that.
I mean, that makes sense. And once again, we don't know the full context, so I'll tell you when I get there.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of those shows I actually never got around to, and I just got lazy about it.
Who wants to go next? You, K-Guns?
I didn't really see much of anything. I've been kind of busy with real life shit.
Same, but you know what? I still make the time.
Yeah, but I'm kind of in a different boat than you are.
That's all right. Well, before I tell you what I watched, I will tell you what I got in the mail. I got
insert mail time clip here.
Not one, but
please don't actually put that on there.
Yeah, no, do it.
I got Canon. Oh, I always say Karen, but it's Canon and Daya, both from Love Live Sunshine, the Figma. So that brings 4 Love Live Sunshine Figma, and I have 5 left to go.
Okay.
This is the last series I'm doing this shit for, where it's like having to get every single one in a.
Maybe I'm just not being observant, but is that a new thing you have up on the wall there?
Me?
No, Anubis.
Oh, Anubis?
Where?
On your, well, I guess it would be on your left.
Oh, the long thing.
Yeah. I don't think I actually saw that. Yeah.
That thing I'm pointing to?
Yeah.
I've had that for years. I've had that since my birthday, like 5 years ago, something like that.
Guess I've never actually paid attention to it.
What is that?
Yeah, no one's really seen it. I'll get it. Give me a second.
Looks Strike Witches-ish.
I don't know. I can't tell from here. There's like a little bit of glare.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not bringing it down like saying you're a bit busy to I'm just
No, dude, I'm very busy.
But
I'm not being a dick about it. I don't want to come off like a dick about it.
The top of this thing really needs some dusting. But what this is it's a framed Strike Witches poster.
I knew it was Strike Witches.
Right.
It looked kind of.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Gave it to me for my birthday several years ago, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna not have a fucking trillion bare ass posters up on my wall, and I'm just gonna start framing stuff. So I got all at the same time. I got this one framed. I have the Darjeeling framed up there, and I have a VZ's Oreo drawing that's framed. I also have a Strike Witch's A10 Warthog that's framed.
Right. Okay. I was just curious because I don't ever recall actually seeing that.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't have really seen it because it wasn't visible at all before I changed my setup.
Yeah, see, that's probably why. I was like, which is weird because I noticed shit. I mean, I'm the one who spotted your fucking apple that looked like a Haro.
What I've seen is the new Darjeeling poster.
All right, so now the nail that it was hanging up from fell out, so now I'm gonna have to put it somewhere.
It happens.
Okay, so the stuff I'm watching.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Focus, VZ, focus.
Well, loving Blend S. That is my show of the season, possibly the year. I'm loving that one. Halfway to it, it's been so good.
Okay.
Again, it's actually been better than some of the later seasons of like Working. Similar premise and A1 Pictures, so that's why I compared. Is it? What else? Himoto Maru-chan R.
So I'm assuming she's still being a little shit.
Yeah, she is.
The most lovable little shit in anime.
Sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Love
Not
Life,
us, her.
Second season of Love Live Sunshine. Liking that too. I don't know if I think the first season was a little bit stronger, but you know what? The same thing happened to the second season of the original Love Live, where the second season wasn't as strong as the first, but it'll get to where it needs to go.
Right.
So if you just give it the time, but I'm still liking it.
Not anime related, but I did watch the Highlander movie, which is always fun, even though that sex scene makes absolutely zero fucking sense.
What else do I have?
Spoiler alert, there's a sex scene.
Well, at least they don't use it for exposition like Megazone 2-3.
Oh, where they explain everything during.
No, he does that before.
Don't they do that in like the first two?
No, the second one was just a pure sex scene.
Well,
okay.
you could argue
you didn't even have any purpose.
You could argue that that's kind of what's going on in Evangelion too. I mean, you don't really see it or hear it, but it's implied.
Kinda.
Oh yeah.
But then again, there's sort of meaning behind that. So there's
no, I'm not saying there ain't meaning.
Hell, we need some exposition. We also need a sex scene. Hey, let's do both at the same time.
It's like I imagine that's what the mentality behind somebody who came up with a deep fried Twinkie came up with. It's like deep fried food and Twinkies. Let's just put them together.
I need to clog my arteries really fast.
Or was it fried Mars bars? Same thing.
Oh no, it's worse than that. I actually heard that there's a deep fried beer.
Oh, there's deep fried cola too.
Oh, yep. Disgusting! Like that's the grossest thing I've heard in a while. It's one of the, I don't know. I think the Mountain Dew flavored Cheetos is up there though.
This is America.
That sounds absolutely. Actually, I think that was a Japanese product, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Either way, it sounds fucking disgusting. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Can I continue?
Sorry.
Do it.
All right. So, Idolmasters Side M. I'm liking it. I don't know if it's as strong as the other Idolmasters, but that might be because of the subject.
I've got somebody I can ask about that.
But no, I'm still liking it. What else?
And that man's name is Kentaro Miura.
And then there's the and there's the two the two shorts that I'm watching. Idolmaster D's in season 2. Again, more of the same as the first, which I'm enjoying. And the Japanese title is Osaka wa Fui ni Natte Kara, which is love is like a cocktail. That one I'm really liking as well. That's about it.
There's a curry flavored soda from the chat. I can't get into the brain of somebody who's making these flavor ideas up. Like, this sounds delicious.
I don't know. Part of me wants to believe that all these are thought up by accident.
I mean, I guess they're trying to come up with the chocolate and peanut butter combo again.
Yeah.
So no, they just throw it.
Going with that again.
It's a dartboard.
It's like, let's put this and this, even though they don't traditionally go together, and see what happens. It's like, mad scientists of the candy world.
Maybe it's the manatee thing.
Maybe.
See, you know what I'm going. Flavor.
Yeah, you know. I mean, when I was a kid, I did some weird shit like that, like tried to make mixed flavors of Kool-Aid or some shit like that. And most of the time, it did not work very well. I'll just say that right now. And it's like, what happens if we put fruit punch with, lime?
Nothing good.
This doesn't taste very good. That was a waste of both of these.
Yes, that's
a valuable lesson about resource allocation.
Yeah, exactly, and basically how not to behave inside of the science room, in case you're ever in a chemistry class.
Let's just mix these two things together. That couldn't possibly have a negative outcome.
The next scene, you just see like fire trucks around the building and shit.
Anything else before break?
No, not really.
No.
All right, then.
I think
that's just noticed. Like, I just, and realistically, I should have noticed this a while ago. I still haven't opened this Haruhi like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe I'll open that over the break. I don't know. In any case, we're up against the break. NTR Radio. Here's my pen.
All right, I'm going to make some personal situations happen here. So I'll be right back.
Some music happened here.
Can you stop yelling? Can you stop yelling? I'm recording, all right? Yeah, well, it sounds like. I don't care what it sounds like.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I forgot to mention the shmups I've been playing. I mean, I can't play the arcade originals.
Well, naturally.
But I've been doing some of the PC Engine ones, TurboGrafx 16 / PC Engine versions, and then they're actually pretty close, like Gradius and R-Type. Did I mention? Actually, I said it on Twitter. How sadistic R-Type is. God, that game is so sadistic.
Well, here's the weird thing. I actually feel like I have a greater potential to be good at R-Type than Gradius.
Really?
Like I can feel myself. I felt myself catching on with R-Type faster than I did with Gradius.
I could do some parts of Gradius of R-Type well, but again, it's about using that force ball thing, and also the Super R-Type, which is basically a remix of R-Type 2 for the Super NES. That one is like basically you die, you have to start the level again.
I came back to a question to something I have no idea what's going on.
I'm talking about shmups.
R-Type.
Yeah, shmups I've been playing this weekend.
R-Type. Is there a sequel called K-Type? That was a terrible joke.
Well, it should be called S-Type. S for sadistic. Gradius was the other one I've been trying to play.
Oh, my apologies. No, seriously, that game is harder than shit.
Which version did you try? The Nintendo one?
Yeah, the NES one.
All right, because I was actually trying the PC Engine one, which is a little closer to the arcade. I'd rather call it PC Engine. I hate using I hate calling it the TurboGrafx 16 because that's such a terrible name.
It would be okay if it might have been okay if the system would have taken off, but now it just sounds really stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a botched marketing. First off, they released it too late because it came out in 1987 in Japan, and here it came out 89. Which by then, the Genesis also came out the same year.
Yeah, I mean,
and that kind of blew it out.
There's only one game that ever came out for it that I ever was really into, and that's Rondo No Blood.
Oh well, that's the CD. That's the PC Engine CD, which those I can't emulate because those are CD ones. I can only do the ones on the Hue cards, which was the format. They came on cards. The cards, right? The ROMs came on cards, basically.
I gotcha. All right, I'm ready whenever you guys are.
All right. Hit that button. Hit that button. That's
Zero Wing was on that too.
We're ready.
The CD.
Oh yeah, that the Genesis game.
Yeah, but this one had a different intro.
With the you have no chance to survive. Make your time.
Yeah, that was only the Mega Drive that had that particular intro.
So you got to say it without a pause.
Yeah, I have no chance.
Anubis gets it.
Right.
Yeah,
you have
no
chance to survive. Make your time.
Make your time.
Yeah.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
This is going to be a fun episode because it's something that affects all of us. And
something that a whole lot of us need to start doing more of.
Researching anime. I guess we should clarify what we mean by that.
How to learn about anime.
You go to anime school. You go to anime school.
Yes. No. You're sent packets of stuff for home.
And you have to read Susan Napier's book
No, you're ensnared by anime phonics.
I'm not making but
we are discerning information visually.
You think I'm joking?
Hooked on phonics.
You think but you think I'm joking? But that's what.
No, I know you're serious. That's why I'm so mad.
Ensnared. See, I was making a joke based off of those old commercials. Ensnared by anime phonics. We are discerning information visually. See, I'm not going to
Right off the bat, drawing girl in the RSC. Why is there no anime studies class in college? You see, here's the thing.
They do have them. They do have them.
Yeah, I would be super dubious
about going
any
there.
anime studies class in college.
Because they're also going to tell you about white privilege.
Well, it's not even that.
No, it's not that.
They're going to tell you all of the
Miyazaki,
like academic approved aspects of anime.
It's basically going to be movies and some select OVAs.
Yeah,
it's not going to be.
Yeah, but the thing is if you've been to a college within the last couple of years, you're gonna. They try to shoehorn all that crap into everything.
Regardless of, even if they weren't doing that, Ghibli and fucking Satoshi Kon, and I'm not hating on any of these people. They make great anime. What I'm saying is they're going to laser focus on this one aspect of anime that isn't even representative of a small sample of the medium.
And Akira and
it's all going to be all this very classic Western approved stuff. They're not going to they're not going to make any attempt to know or teach anything about the culture behind all this stuff and why it is the way it is.
Now, kids, let's watch Strike Witches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the anime studies class I'd run and then get kicked out of the college.
Yeah, and plus someone would be upset by the glorification of Nazi ace pilots.
Yeah, why do you think I'd be getting kicked out of the college?
Well, I was gonna say the underwear thing, but okay.
Now everyone, what is it? Now we'll show them what would blow their minds.
The blue girl.
Show them Yasuga no Sora.
The non-edited version.
Well, was it? What's it? Yurusuke Doji was in the Susie Napier book.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
didn't want to read the chapter on adult anime.
Yeah,
of course they didn't.
Yeah, they're weak. But remember, there are ways to. So we can't do Yurusuke Doji because we read that article from like 1994. There are ways to screw that up into some kind of weird. If we're talking about how do we learn about anime, the media as it actually exists.
Part of the biggest hurdle to this isn't crappy college classes or anything like that. It's the language barrier. Because almost all the information that's important is actually made there, and it's not translated.
Well, there's two barriers. One of them is that a lot of the really relevant information, especially to modern contemporary anime, in Japan and not translated. And another is the second aspect has two sub aspects to it. So that number one is that a lot of the academic, more educated quote unquote stuff we're working with is sometimes decades out of date.
Also, it's very.
And the other part, there's a lot of people lying to everyone because that suits that suits what they personally think anime should be, and as a result, we get a whole bunch of misinformation. One, because it's old, and two, because a whole lot of people in the anime fandom are being lied to.
It's also a whole death of the author thing where they look into stuff, see stuff that's like not there at all, and then you find out like what the original creator is like. I don't know, just put that thing because it's cool. You know.
Well, you gotta understand. Rubens already addressed that. He said they lie.
Yeah, that plays into the second one where they have some preconceived notions of where they think anime should, or what they think of the medium. And so in the absence of actual stuff, or in the absence of prominent actual information, they just make shit up and lie to people.
Yeah, I can make myself sound smart by finding a whole bunch of using Western analogy to what I'm seeing, rather than
the fact that they had nothing to do with any of that.
Well, it's again,
it is that they use in Western analogy and Western techniques is that they're just making stuff up.
Well, certainly when I was also reading, and you could attest to this, K-Gods. What was her name? Helen McCarthy's book.
Oh, the encyclopedia.
Yeah, I had the error. But yeah, basically a very Anglo-centric viewpoint.
Yeah, it's not even an Americentric. It's purely a European. This stuff is low degenerate trash that every once in a while puts out something good, basically. I mean, that's really what because everything that, first off, newer stuff gets lambasted pretty bad. And second off, a lot of this other stuff, even things like Tenchi Muyo or Ranma Half or anything like that, gets grilled pretty heavily.
Yeah, which is tragic, because now creates this entire generation of people who have these notions about anime, and
they keep in mind this is a person that this is a woman that hated the Golgo 13 movie, from the one from 1983.
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant.
And that's a very much of a guy movie if you've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I know people don't like that kind of terminology.
Yeah, think 80s R-rated movie. That's what it's exactly like.
Mm-hmm. While you guys are talking about this, I'm actually going to go dig up a review from this that actually is kind of plays into what you're talking about. So continue on.
Right, so basically, that's what we're up against. We're up against this embedded cottage industry of misinformation about anime. So that being the case, lay down the battlefield, so to speak. Now, how do we start to work past that? First is there are people writing about anime in the modern day who do have the right idea, and we are starting to get some more of this or recent, more contemporary stuff translated. Like quite a few years ago, the book was animals. So we had database animals, and for quite a while that was the book. Like every time you see some out here, when really it's out here criticizing Moe, so they can think they know what they're talking about, they're going to cite database animals. But now we have all this other stuff. We have the Moe Manifesto, we have Beautiful Fighting Girl, and all this stuff is more contemporary looks and more in-depth looks at the culture surrounding this stuff and where all this stuff is coming from. And quite frankly, have multiple sources, period. So anyone who's read database animals should also be reading the Moe Manifesto and should also be reading Beautiful Fighting Girl. But
what was the one? Otaku Spaces. That's another one.
Otaku Spaces is another one. They should read that too. The problem is they're not, because they're being reinforced by people who, quite frankly, don't know what they're talking about, but are willing to pretend they know what they're talking about, because it's much easier that way. And this isn't, this sort of thing isn't really the only problem. We also have people who just don't know and are pretending they know, because I don't know if this because they don't know any better, or if they're actively lying to people, which I doubt. For these particular people I'm talking about people who talk about the anime industry, but it's quite obvious to people who understand how the industry works, fundamentally don't know what they're talking about. I ran into this problem a while ago. There's a lot of people out there, and to a certain extent, I used to think this way too, but there's a lot of people out there who think the anime industry is just the studios.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
right, they're sort of missing out on like all the what's the right word here? Kind of not the middlemen, but although I guess you could throw them in there too.
What really happens is when you find out how this works, it turns out the studios are the middlemen.
Right.
And it's like, to wrap it up in a nutshell, all these investors hire the studio to make the anime. So if we're trying to support the anime industry, what really happens is we can't just, since they can't actually do anything with it. But we have a bunch of people out there saying, okay, we need to support these studios, when in reality that's not the case and would actually end up hurting the anime industry.
Yeah.
So we have that to contend with too.
What you're actually supporting is the producers, the upper echelon.
What you're actually supporting is framework and structure behind how this stuff gets made. And again, and we covered this a few episodes ago. There are ways that this problem can be solved with regards to the studios, but my point is, with this particular issue, is that people not telling people the truth, and whether that's because they don't know, or whether that's because they have an ulterior motive, really besides the point as far as I'm concerned, because both are just as bad. It's people getting wrong information.
Well, I'm
the solution should be, and to give people a solution to that.
I don't know if it was taken down, but there's a couple other ones in here that are interesting too. Like, check this one out. It just says a customer. It doesn't actually say the specific person, but it says, does it pass the GoGo 13 test? Yes, it does. Not only does the Anime Encyclopedia warn you off of buying a terrible movie like GoGo 13, it gives you many reasons why. But see, that's not really what an encyclopedia does. So it's kind of false advertising.
Yeah, it's a review book.
And not even reviews. It's just snarky fucking comments and shit.
It's not even a good review book.
Okay, yeah, it's a bad review book.
Put it this way: I threw mine in the trash. I mean, I didn't even give it away. I just threw it away.
Good call.
It was one of those things I bought on a blind buy, and I really shouldn't have done it. But you got to understand, when I bought it, it was around 2002.
Right.
And there was just not a lot of stuff about this out there. And you really didn't have a whole lot of choices with books on this subject. Not at all. Because most of the ones you would find were just kind of partially about it or something like that. It would just be like a general animation book or something like that, where it would just have a section on it, or talk about some of the more high-end things like Miyazaki or Satoshi Kon or anything like that. Not like
for quite a while, you never really saw any books strictly about anime.
Right.
Okay, so let's start with the bare basics. How do we get information about individual shows? Say I want to find out who directed Gunslinger Girl.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, how do you guys solve that problem? Because I know how I solve that problem.
Go to either ANN or as an encyclopedia, not as a to read, or Wikipedia. and then look
You-
see
I
the
usually use
studio.
Wikipedia myself.
You could also go to Mao.
That's the other one, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could also just watch the damn thing, and
that's
look
not
at
really.
the.
That's not really. Well, it's not really going to tell you
Yeah, the studio.
who directed
Oh
it,
yeah,
unless the credits are translated.
That's
which they
true.
aren't
And some
always.
of them, that actually is a bit of a problem. So what were you going to say? Out of curiosity.
I was gonna go directly to Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
That's not mostly where I go. Just because the interface is good, I know exactly where to look. And I don't know if anyone else has the problem, but I find that ANN's interface for the encyclopedia is kind of, you have to look to find the information.
Yeah, it's a little clunky.
I'm gonna post this in the. I found it. I'm gonna post it in the chat for reference. Here's an example of what I mean by somebody. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this bullshit name they got. They're from Malmö, Sweden. Check this out, guys. Anybody want to read it, or?
I'll take a stab at it.
Yeah. Here's an example of what we're talking about.
Oh.
I can feel it. I can feel
just read this
Anubis's
first
head starting to swell.
Well, I was gonna read it in casual voice, but this first sentence here, some kind of fucking dramatic voice for this. The little volume will shake the Western anime fandom to the core. Its real audience is not the exclusive subculture of long-term anime fans, but the ordinary public.
No shit.
Not only does this book raise the ordinary reader up to the knowledge level of the average anime buyer, but it discusses hundreds upon hundreds of titles that fandom had never even heard of before today. Does us the service of correcting much disinformation on titles and creators that floats around the internet masquerading as truth. If that's not enough, the volume's critical assessments of many titles is worth the price alone, pointing newcomers away from meretricious fan favorites. How many outsiders have had their opinions of anime shaped by juvenile trash such as Ranma 1/2 or Tenchi Muyo, rather than being pointed output of studios such as Ghibli, Gainax, or Headgear. Fans will learn something new from this book. Non-fans will discover a whole new world. Postscript. Since writing this review, I've had the opportunity to look at some of the other opinions offered. Divided roughly into two types: the appreciative fan and the spurned fan. Hell hath no fury like an anime fan scorned. The objections of the spurned fans are as follows. 1. The book slated my favorite show. I have little respect for this point of view. It's time the hobby grew up and received critical attention. The writers are elitist and disrespectful of fans. And about time, too. The fan community is an insular niche that clings to a handful of poor quality shows rather than critically examine why the good material is worth watching. This guy sounds like a real pleasant person to be around, by the way, as an aside. Number 3. The book is full of factual errors. Encyclopedia that isn't. And the authors are big enough to admit that they have made a few errors in a work that is so large and comprehensive. It's up to the readers to contact the publisher with corrections. An email address is in the book. Number 4. The writers are wrong to editorialize and review the anime featured. What guff is vital to discern the good material from the bad. This is an encyclopedia, by the way. Make informed decisions about shows. An intelligent reader can make up their own mind from the descriptions of whether they want to watch a show. The book contains spoilers. Tough. Why read it then? In all, nothing persuades me that this book doesn't deserve its 5 stars. Petty carpers. Carpers?
What are you
I learned
fucking...
some new words reading this review.
Carpers.
I'm not entirely sure this person meretricious. I'm not entirely sure this person used the word slated correctly. I think they mean slighted. But
yeah.
I don't know. They're obviously too dumb to understand that an encyclopedia is different from book reviews.
Here's what it means. Meretricious. As an adjective. Yeah, sorry.
Adjective.
Adjective. Apparently attractive, but having in reality no value or integrity. And the second one is
this review. Gotcha.
A second is an archaic term. Yeah, archaic, relating to or characteristic of a prostitute.
Wow. I like this review.
So this is what I mean.
You just call my show a whore. You called my show a slut.
So here's my point, though. This kind of shit is common. These kind of reviews, or not even reviews, but this kind of way of looking at things is very common.
Because a lot of people have this idea that it's not enough to teach people about the stuff. They have to steer them in the right direction.
Right. And here's the crazy thing about this, though. They talk about being a noob and that this being aimed at the regular public, right? It's in the first little bit here.
Yeah.
But then it says this book contains spoilers. Tough. Why read it then? Why the fuck would you want to read a book full of spoilers if you're trying to watch something for the first time?
So that's how you know this person doesn't really care about teaching people about anime, but they care about what they really care about is quote unquote steering them in the right direction, which is to say getting them to watch the stuff they like and hate the stuff, and not just not watch, but hate the stuff they don't like.
Yeah, it's
why it's so difficult to actually learn about anime, because we have a bunch of these morons out here trying to rudder new people in the right direction. It's disgusting, quite frankly.
Right. I couldn't resist the urge to bring this one up because this one in particular rubbed me the wrong way a long time ago, and I remembered it was actually there. It took me a while to re-find it. Sorry about that. I just thought it was important and it would work kind of in what we're talking about as far as certain kinds of mentalities that have sort of proliferated throughout the fandom there.
It's retarded because that
it's retarded.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say that there's a whole bunch of people who believe that who have wrong notions about the show, about the medium.
Sorry to interrupt. It's kind of important, but this is actually from 2001, this review. Yeah. So this tells you how long this has been kind of the narrative being pushed around, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way I want to phrase it or not, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Just how many decades this has been going on.
Yeah, and this isn't even the start of any of this. You can go back further and read stuff very similar. This is one of those things where I honestly preferred it before. I preferred anime before academics tried to get their paws on it.
That's the way I felt. It's like
simply for the fact that
I knew about the stuff before they sort of were writing,
and they're just very dismissive of Japan and its culture and why it informs a lot of this stuff.
But it knows how it's always the same stuff that they sort of praise, and then always the same stuff that they mock.
Well, yeah. Well, of
even
course
though I don't personally care about Rama or Tenchi, but that's beside the point. You know, just because I don't personally have an interest doesn't mean like, it's still like dismissive. Of
course it
Well,
is.
see, that's the difference between you, VZ, and these people. You don't care for Rama 1/2 or Tenchi Muyo. You don't feel the need to shit on them.
You know,
These people feel the need to shit
I
on
don't care
everything they
about-
don't like, big up the things they do like. They feel they need to knock everything else down, so whatever they like stands remaining.
I know you like Code Geass.
Problem with it.
Well, I couldn't care for it, but that's, I don't care.
We can still be fucking friends because it's a cartoon. But these people
Imagine that. Dude. People being friends despite liking different things.
Well, here's another one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one. That was a 5-star rating. We should mention that. That was a 5-star rating. Now, if you look at the 1-star ratings, just for contrast, some of them basically just say, save your money, this is terrible. And some of them and whatnot. But there's one that's
advice.
Yeah, but there's one, no name attached to it, just says a customer. Unprofessional and grossly inaccurate information. And basically, the way they closed out their complaint of it was, perhaps the book should be retitled Anime Conjectopedia, collating half-remembered myths and rumors since 1917. Yeah, I mean, which it also points out the unprofessional criticism that the authors are reveling in, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's full of diatribes, and while it does have some interesting elements, like if you didn't have the internet, it would still be useful and interesting just for the pure information, I guess. If you ignored all the bullshit,
Well, kind of like how Anime News Network is useful because of the encyclopedia.
Right. Yeah, kind of. But the fact that there are places that have kind of upheaved it in a way.
Yeah, that have the same information without the hangers on of in its editorial section.
Fake anime news.
Fake anime news. Would that be JNN? Anyway. Or A, yeah, A and N. Haha. Anyway, going back to what we were talking about here, this presents a problem because all the information that comes to the English-speaking world is stuff like this. Not all of it, but most of it, and it certainly has been for a long time.
Yeah, it's significant. It's a significant portion of it, and it's been that way for longer than it hasn't. Right.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I've been watching this stuff for roughly about since 95, 96, somewhere around there. It's when I kind of started really getting into it. And the entire time I've been into it, this sort of stuff has been very prevalent. They used to have these kind of editorials in even things like just like gaming magazines and stuff. When they'd be talking about anime or something like that, they'd have some feature on how fucked up something like Urotsuki Doji is. Or which I remember reading this one thing where somebody actually wrote in like the fan letters that come in, and they sort of like print them and make commentary on them. One of which said the first thing they encountered in terms of anime was Wicked City and Urotsuki Doji.
Awesome.
And the response, it was something like, "Am I warped for life?" And their response was, "Yes, you are."
Mm-hmm. That reminds me. I'm so glad that I was able to scan those reviews. Remember, I showed you, or at least I told you about. I scanned. It was not all, but the majority of the anime released in the mid '90s, and it was just like a short paragraph, and it was in the magazine called Flux.
Yeah, and what's funny about that?
I remember this. I wrote an article about this.
What's really funny about that is I actually did have an issue or two of Flux, which
it might have been the same one.
It was probably not, because this was just it was just a multimedia magazine to begin with.
No, I think it was, because you said it had Wolverine on the cover. I think that was the one I had also.
Yeah, and it had like a Megadeth thing in there.
Maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure that's why I even bought it.
But yeah, and you know what the amazing thing is? Some things never change. Like their thoughts on certain things that they dismiss. Like they hated the Fist of the North Star movie.
Yeah, I mean, and what's funny about that is stuff like that now is praised by a certain group of people. Same thing with like MD Geist or Genocyber and all that.
Yeah, I was about to say MD. Like, I remember for the longest time, MD Geist was the worst anime. And then all of a sudden, I saw all these people praising MD Geist, and I was like, wait a second. What? Wasn't everyone hating on this show 8 seconds ago?
By the way, yeah, oddly enough, MD Geist wasn't reviewed in that coverage, but a lot of other stuff. Yeah, Wicked City got there.
Fucking Wicked City. If you haven't seen Wicked City, let's just say there's a reason people were snickering when we were actually talking about that.
Oh, here it is. For Fist and North Star, guys with really big bodies and tiny heads fight each other on the face of Earth, transformed into a lifeless wasteland. Lots of blood, exploding bodies, and severed limbs make this a real gore fest, too grim for many tastes, and basically an ugly film with a sappy ending. And then they do animation, horrible, rating, sucks.
So basically like A&N does. Want. Actually, I don't think they've been doing that lately, but I haven't been there to check.
They need to stop.
So I could be totally wrong about that. If somebody wants to kind of send in and correct that just go right ahead.
Oh, they got Yurusuga Doji here too. The mother of all tentacle porn epics. Yurusuga Doji knows the Wandering Kid or Legend of the Ophine. Follows the adventures of... Yeah, I don't have to read the plot.
Yeah. No. No, you don't.
Discussing limb-severing torsos, not to mention multiple episodes of violent rape by and of teenagers, multi-tentacled critters, demons, and associated bystanders, infamous for sheer explicitness. Animation mediocre, rating sucks.
Okay, first off, if you think the animation in this is bad, you haven't seen bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually very impressive for that time, and still is.
Yeah, and first off, whoever came up with the demon designs really knew their shit, because there's some really wacky and cool stuff in there. Yeah. Okay, I am biased. I've met the guy who fucking orchestrated this franchise.
Mm-hmm. But then they have, because they do by category, like a genre or subgenre.
Okay.
So then they do like not just kid stuff. So then they have Grave of the Fireflies. I'm not gonna read the. I'm not gonna.
Not kid stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna review. I think they just mean not just only kid stuff.
Would you say it's straight from Japan?
Well, wait. Here's what is it? I'm not gonna read the full review, but here's what they have for Grave of the Fireflies. Animation incredible, rating must see. My Neighbor Totoro, animation delightful, rating must see. You notice a pattern? So basically, everything that's acceptable for Westerners to like, they like. Okay, got it.
Oh.
It's like this isn't knocking any of these shows. I actually happen to like most of those, but
they're good. But the thing is, there's a pattern. There's a very clear pattern. Is like we're only allowed.
Put it this way: it's pseudo intellectualism. Is basically what it is.
Yeah, and to bring it back to the point, the problem is we've been.
You're smarter if you watch shows that have ultra nice animation and are completely acceptable for family and whatnot. Like if you like things blowing up, people fighting, blood, and tentacle fucking and stuff like that, then you're a pleb.
Oh, here's
and the problem is we've been inundated with this perspective.
I got one for you.
For the entire for years, and it's only very recently that we've started to hear stuff from the other side. But the problem is we've been so inundated with it for that it doesn't even register. Like, both of you guys remember New Type USA, right?
Oh yeah, I used to actually be subscribed to it for a short time.
Yeah. Wasn't that magazine?
It was refreshing.
So refreshing.
Because
it's like, hey, what was going on at the time?
Which is oddly surprising because people like Daryl Surratt complained like it wasn't giving reviews of things.
We don't
it wasn't the point of the magazine.
No.
I'm sorry. And
quite frankly, the most thing I remember about that was a bunch of pictures and interviews and stuff.
Yeah, it
we
was
don't
never the
need
point of it.
reviews.
Like, I remember distinctly a big feature on Gundam Seed when it was brand new. And I was really interested in reading that. Do you guys remember?
This is what New Type US. Yeah, son. What I'm tempted to do right now, I'm not going to, but this is what I want to do, is tell you guys to talk amongst yourselves so I can go down and get a whole bunch of these New Type USAs. Because what they did was amazing. It's like, have big spreads on, I remember when Gundam 00 was coming out. And they had this huge spread about Gundam 00. And here's the Gundam Exia, and this is what it does. And here's fucking Tieria Arde, and he's this and that character. And they had all this information about the show.
Because didn't they have? I mean, I distinctly remember
nothing like that.
I distinctly
they
remember
had more game reviews out on there than anime reviews.
Right, and I also distinctly remember, as far as New Type USA went, because I don't know that this wasn't the case if you bought it in the store. I don't think. I can't remember because I had a subscription, but they came with these sampler packs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they had those in the store.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I remember that's how I saw
come in a plastic bag because of that.
That's how I saw Azumanga Daioh and Mazda.
Yeah, I mean, I encountered fucking what do you call it? What's the name of that? Shuffle. I believe I remember seeing that.
That's how I first saw Shuffle. That's how I first saw Rumbling. Not Shuffle, but Comic Party Revolution. That's how I first saw Rumbling Hearts. That's how I first saw Jinky Extend.
I mean, yeah, they had big spreads on shows like Code Geass, Full Metal Alchemist, Witch Hunter Robin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And it was just pure information.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like if you read a music magazine, like what was going on with the music world of whatever genre or scene you were into.
Information about the show and information about the production of the show and who's behind it.
Yeah, there was a lot of interviews with Japanese directors and stuff, which brings me to another point. Is there's an extreme lacking of this sort of thing. If you really want to learn about this stuff, read translated, interviews and things with the production teams and stuff like that. You'll learn a lot.
That's why I used to love when Central Park Media, a lot of their releases had director commentaries from the actual directors.
Let's see here. I actually typed in New Type USA into Google Images to kind of just refresh my memory with some of these covers. And boy, I remember some of these too. Some of the ones I remember there's the Gundam Seed one I was thinking of earlier. I remember getting that. But there's other ones I remember a lot too.
I'm posting this on my Twitter, by the way, the Flux reviews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there was stuff like Razafon, which I know some people were into that.
Now, I remember. I'm looking at some right now. I remember this one with the day when the rebuild of Evangelion movies were on the horizon.
Okay.
This is December 2000. I almost said 2016. The December 2006 issue of New Type USA, and they just had all this history of Evangelion and why it was such a pivotal anime and what it did for late night and whatnot, and why we have the term post Evangelion anime and not anime, why it was such a rock solid show of the time. You just learned all that reading this fucking magazine.
Like I said, it was a really good magazine. I thought it was. They had a lot. It was much more professional than the other stuff that was going on, for sure.
I'm not gonna use the word professional, because
well, it looked more professional.
any of this stuff is professional because it's getting paid, but it's a lot more focused on just
it sounded like it was yeah, it was, and it sounded like it was being written by actual people that care,
by people who are highly knowledgeable or just well connected and just have all this information and give a fuck, like
right.
really care and not care about getting their perspective out there, or well, really getting their opinion on there, but giving perspective, like giving perspective out to the fan base.
What's interesting though is before there was New Type USA, there was An America.
Oh yeah, I used to
actually read that one too. I wasn't subscribed ever to it, but I used to pick it up.
That one was actually decent.
I don't remember a lot of it, to be honest with you. It kind of bums me out that I don't.
It was decent.
I mean, well, yeah, of course it was. What else was there?
Well, there was what's that? It was like a really casual one too. Not, Anime Insider. That's it.
Yeah, I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was like Goku on every other cover, basically.
Oh, okay.
That's how. But the only one left is Otaku USA.
Yeah. Oh, actually, they have a spinoff just called Anime USA now.
Oh, okay.
I guess they want to get away from that otaku label, huh? I really don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying what I saw in the supermarket.
But K-Gots, this one's for you. One of the ones they did is wait, let me find it.
Well, while he's figuring that out, so yeah, that's one of the big problems is, I'm not saying that there needs to be magazines or anything, but I mean, because we're kind of getting past, largely the print industry is in trouble anyway. But
yeah, we're getting far past the magazine paradigm now.
Yeah, I mean, you're better off getting like an e-zine at this point.
I got it. Ixer 1 and Ixer 3.
Okay.
Animation mediocre. Rating sucks.
Wow. Like, did these people just not see? I can't. I'd have to read it. It just, I don't know. It makes it sound like they're trying to judge everything by like these standards that, I don't know, aren't really the baseline standards for anime.
Yeah.
They have their own opinion, and they're gonna disseminate their opinion by any means necessary.
But it's amazing. It's like that was like 25 years ago, and now it's nothing has changed.
No, but it's like it'd be like if you read something and it said "War in the Pocket" looks like ass.
Yeah,
and you'd just be like, "On what planet are you from?" Granted, I wouldn't say it's the nicest looking thing Gundam's ever put out, but come on now. In any case,
the point is, we used to have this highly informational magazine, and now we don't have that. So it's not even just that we had this.
When it collapsed, we got Peak.
Oh yeah, that was like 4 issues.
Which that was complete garbage, by the way. There's
so it's not even that we just had this flood, and we're now getting little pieces of good information. There had been pieces of good information before. They just got swept out by the flood.
Well,
we're gaining some stuff, but we're also losing this good information.
To be honest, didn't New Type USA collapse with ADV? I can't
remember. I think kind of.
I think it's collapse kind of coincided with them having some real problems.
That was one of them. The magazine itself was kind of expensive to keep up because it used to be like a $10 magazine.
Which that's not really expensive, by the way.
Well, that was when it came with like the disc. It was like $10 or $12.
Like I said, that's not really expensive for a magazine, unless you're used to buying these like $5 Otaku USA things that aren't even like half as big as these were. That's the other thing you're not mentioning. These things were actually pretty huge.
Yeah.
That they had girth. Seriously though, they actually were pretty big. Like when they came in my mailbox, it would be like, motherfuck, you're gonna bend being in here.
But yeah, so in the absence of New Type USA, we need to find other outlets for just pure information about shows, and a lot of that's satisfied by, yeah, if you're just looking for who directed this or what studio made that. But for a lot of the more production aspect things,
somebody
it's
just
lost.
Guys, somebody just joined the chat called Buy My Magazine.
In Otaku USA.
It's
But
funny.
no, that's so we got,
yeah, I see sound euphonium.
To a certain extent, what you see is like you'll see stuff on the Wave Motion blog where they'll have someone translating interviews from directors and whatnot happening on a fan level to a certain extent. But then we also have books coming out like the Moe Manifesto, like Otaku Spaces. And the issue is, how do we get that stuff out there?
Yeah, but remember the backlash.
Bullshit.
Remember the backlash of Moe Manifesto.
The only backlash I saw was from A&N.
Yo, that's what I'm saying.
But that's not really much of a backlash to me.
Yeah, that's just a few people complaining and not getting the point.
Yeah, that's basically like, oh, this pornographic anime exists and it's popular. We're gonna crap on it. Does it change the fact that it's popular and it's selling well? I mean,
can we just as a side rant? Can we stop complaining about the quote unquote incest in anime?
The thing about that,
or stop acting like it's a new thing. Like it's a new thing.
Well, to be honest, there are a lot of new noobs that it is new for them. So that's probably where some of that comes from. But then again, these same people make incest jokes about the South. So I mean, you know.
But the thing is, like, because the fact that it's making money, it's promoting it.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
capitalism's bad.
Well, now, here's the thing. If your bullshit isn't making that otaku fan base money, maybe it's time to examine your bullshit. Whatever bullshit you like, and figure out why it's not making that money. Which, to another extent, extends into this whole thing where a lot of people plainly don't know how the industry works from a monetary standpoint. And so that's how we get people hating on anime because they think it's going to make whatever bullshit they like better.
That red line, it sure was going to make huge money. It was going to save the anime.
Only deluded people thought that, by the way.
Yeah.
It was going to galvanize the fan base. And
the reason why that is delusional though is these same people thought Akira was bigger than it was.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Like,
I mean, it was much bigger. It's much more. It seemed much more
here.
Yeah, important to the West than it does specifically to them. I mean,
same with Cowboy Bebop.
Right. I mean, that's not to say these shows didn't make
anime.
Not to say they didn't make any money or they didn't have their popularity there, but what's that? The perception of how popular it is there is wrong.
Yeah.
Which is another
thing. Well, here's the thing. How did any of us find that out?
Oh, well, it's just obvious. It's just, look, there's not fan art and merch being pumped out of that like there is everything else that's buzzing. And let's be honest, this is a very supplementary market in the sense that the show itself is kind of a commercial for other shit in a way.
Yep.
And people don't like to hear that, but it's totally fucking true.
100% true.
It's like, oh, hey, you like these shows based off of VNs or whatnot? That's because we want you to also buy the VNs and the figures, the art books, t-shirts, and yada, yada, yada.
Exactly.
The opening and ending song.
Yeah,
the official soundtrack, the character songs.
Exactly. That's what I meant by the yada yada yada.
Yeah, exactly.
And so on and so forth. To sound less fucking Midwestern.
So that's where it goes, though, is a lot of people just fundamentally do not understand how the anime industry works. And so that's where we get this perception that a lot of the stuff that we like over here is also a lot of the stuff that happens to get really big over there. When realistically, and to be fair, realistically, a lot of the stuff that people like to talk about is being really big over here. Really as big over here as people like to talk about.
Right. I mean, very few shows actually boom here and there, and certainly not at the same time. The biggest one I can think of recently was probably Monica.
Well, no, here's the thing, though. You only hear about those shows that boom over here.
Love Live too. Love Live's super huge here too.
That's what I'm saying. You only hear about those. You only hear about the approved shows that are big in both places, like Evangelion and Madoka. But Love Live's big in both places. Sword Art Online is big in both places.
Okay, I gotta stop you there because this has been bugging the fuck out of me for a couple days now, and it actually has to do with Sword Art Online.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Do either of you actually know anybody that's a fan of this show?
Yeah. Plenty of people were in my anime club were Sword Art Online fans.
I have not met a single one. Like it's a huge show, obviously, because it's popular as hell, but I don't know anyone personally that likes the show.
Sneaky was a fan.
Really?
Not Sneaky, Vilna Sinacha, that's what.
Okay. Okay. So I do know somebody. My bad. I haven't talked to him in a while. That probably explains. You know, we should as an aside, we should get him kind of involved more.
In fact, I even got him a dojin for when he couldn't go to Comic-Con, and so I was looking for dojins that he wanted, and one of the ones was a Sword Art Online.
All right,
looking out for your brother.
Excellent.
So basically, yeah, the big some of the problems are, again, the language barrier, of course, is just a problem in general, because a lot of the import.
I'll say this now. I feel like a lot more anime fans should actually just start learning Japanese,
or at least enough to kind of navigate your way around a little more.
No, I'm not even saying enough to navigate your way around. I'm saying learn Japanese to a point where you can some of this information that other people otherwise wouldn't at all have any perspective on.
I mean, my suggestion would be to just read people's translations of interviews with creators and kind of the wheelers and dealers of the whole thing.
I'm saying do that, but also learn Japanese. That's the only way you're gonna get an entirely accurate view of any of this stuff.
True, but that's a big thing to ask of somebody that just wants to watch the shows. Let's be honest. That's committing pretty big there.
And to be fair, if anyone's like really wants to know this stuff, learn Japanese is the only way. But otherwise, there's a lot of translated interviews. Like I said, Wave Motion Can has a lot of them.
I forgot about them, to be honest. Good call.
I go back to them I go back to them every now and again. They have very, very good content. But here's the books. Some people really need to get on some of these books. They need to get on the Moe Manifesto. They need to get on Otaku Space. They need to get especially Beautiful Fighting Girl. If you want to understand where a lot of this cute girl stuff in anime is coming from, beautiful fighting girl. And a lot of people like to put that up as the counterpart to database animals, which I actually also recommend if people want to really learn is database animals. I do say it's very pretentious, and it is very pretentious, but I do enjoy. Well, not enjoy. I don't enjoy reading it, but it is very informative. It has valuable information in it, but it's not the only thing anyone should be reading, which is the problem.
I used to own a book, Cruising the Anime City.
I think I've heard of it.
That one.
Over way back when, I used to have a couple of them, and it's not that they were poorly written. It's that,
although I'm not really a fan of Patrick Macias anymore.
Well, in any case, it has nothing to do with the quality of the writing or anything. It was often that either it was just kind of around the fringes of it, or
yeah. Although my favorite part, I love the one part of the book. This guy that like was super obsessive about Plamo, especially Gunpla.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like hoarders, but with Gunpla.
Like, I'm just imagining somebody who's in this like crawl space of a room that like literally falls asleep and these boxes fall on his head and shit.
Imagine like the stairs and all this and filled with Gunpla.
Yeah, like they have like the underneath stairs storage where you can like just I mean, I actually have one of those too. But just full of freaking boxes and parts and shit. But anyway, yeah, there are some books available, and I do think there's going to be more in the coming years. I don't know if they'll be as good or whatnot, because there seems to be this really, really annoying attempt to put this political spin on this crap.
You know, even though, again, we're not a fan of the...
Well, here's the thing about the political thing. I feel like that's coming from the fringes.
It is, but
like,
these people have a lot of...
Any Twitter especially.
Right, but a lot of these people are involved in sort of the... They know higher-ups and stuff, and they kind of have their fingers in the pie, so to speak.
Well, here's my thing, is like, you're really not going to hear someone or see someone named... see someone like... Let me drop in. You're not going to see someone like Patrick W. Galbraith start putting all this political bullcrap in their books.
Oh, no. I don't mean that. I'm referring more to like people branching off out of like certain kind of high-minded blogs and crap like that.
Well, none of these people are writing books except for Lauren Orsini, and her book is just about how to start your anime blog.
I remember that. I did laugh at her. She actually put out, I don't know if you'd call it a hit piece or not. It was certainly a clickbait title, if nothing else. And that's how, if you watch hentai, it means that you voted for Donald Trump or some shit like that.
And make no mistake, that's purely a clickbait title. That's not what the article's actually about.
No, but but let's be honest, it is
good
clickbait.
honor for not writing an article. Good honor for not writing an article about that, but bad honor for you trying to use that clickbait title.
Yeah, it did make me laugh, and at first I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" You know, I mean, I couldn't help but laugh because it was like, this sounds like it was written by Anifem or some shit like that.
I was gonna say, even though, like, again, we're not a fan of the author, I will say that not Susan Xavier, Helen McCarthy and Jonathan Clement's book on Arrow anime was actually helpful in me learning, like, just titles to look through. Like, that's where I learned about Cream Lemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that book, I remember distinctly when they were talking about Lolita anime, because it's the first of its kind. Yeah, and they just went on this giant diatribe. It's like, I can't even describe it. You'll just have to look it up for yourself if you're interested.
Well, I remember them describing it as what is it? A beginner. One of the episodes as a beginner's guide to statutory rape,
or just some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fucking dude.
Speaking of
Like,
rape,
I couldn't even recommend it at that point.
speaking of rape, he's in trouble. Mr. CK is actually in a bit of trouble now. If you've been paying attention.
Oh,
But
that's who that announcer is?
yeah,
Yes, it's Louis CK. Yeah. Which, by
But
the way,
yeah,
that bit that's from is actually really funny.
I couldn't even recommend it at that point. Because I purely don't want Ian on the shit. I just want information, and I just want it from someone who knows what they're talking about. Which is why which is Patrick W. Galbraith all the time. He's purely academic about it. He's just saying, he's talking to people, he's saying it how he is, and he's trying to get the perspective of people who are already embedded in the culture on this stuff.
I was always somewhat not confused, but somewhat disappointed that the Ask John guy from Anime Nation never published a book like that. I always thought he would be really particularly good at that.
Oplinger. I keep forgetting he exists, but this guy is such a treasure trove of information. Just purely based on
he's not an author. I know he's not an author. I'm saying he probably should have been. He could have.
Actually, he was writing a book, but it was a fiction book.
I believe he actually did publish, by the way. He was writing his own light novel, but he needs to write a book about anime because
he's been there for a long
based
ass
on
time.
this guy's. He's a fucking mental encyclopedia. Purely based on his Ask John column on the Anime Nation blog,
which, by the way, got him into some trouble with A&N at one point.
Well, of course, because he likes to tell things in not necessarily always he likes to tell the truth, or as far knows, and sometimes that contains information that people who are concerned about appearances, particularly appearances of the anime fandom that they're insecure about, don't necessarily like all that much.
Yeah, because he's actually banned from being on like A&N cast, if you remember.
Wow.
Because Zach said he was Zach said he was a misogynistic pig.
Yeah, I'd have to see some significant evidence before.
Just based on the fact
that
he pointed out that just for the fact that he pointed out demographically that women aren't buying the anime discs. They're largely more buying like manga and stuff like that.
And if the statistics read that out, I don't. And
he's just repeating the numbers. Holy shit!
Yeah, this is what I like about John. He says what he knows.
But that did get like people over their panties in a knot.
Sorry, like what do they want? And I know what they want. They want people to only say what corresponds to what they feel like, and yeah, so John ends up getting banned from A&N cast for petty ass reasons. But you know what? That's why I like him. He just gives out information. It's not tainted by his perspective, even though Anime News Network might think it is. But he just gives out information. John's another one. Drawn Girl 94 in the IRC. I remember Akhtar talking about anime YouTubers and how he said certain authors are more to read than these other people. Mark Steinberg, Ian Condry, Azuma Hiroki, who wrote Database Animals, Otsuka Eiji, Susan Napier, then Sharon Kinsella, Koichi Iwabuchi, Thomas Lemaire, and Saito Tamaki, who wrote Beautiful Fighting Girl. But yeah, some of these authors are a lot less stressful to read than others. Saito Tamaki is a lot less stressful to read than Hiroki Azuma. Just for example. But that here, but isn't it interesting? Just purely looking at a standpoint of how much certain perspectives get pushed, that John is the guy who's banned from Anime News Network.
I could be wrong, but I could have sworn he said, like, on the forums or somewhere that he would never be allowed on there because of that.
So yeah,
I'm not saying that I couldn't be wrong, but I know it's something like that.
Isn't it interesting how I've never once seen someone like Patrick Galbraith brought into an anime convention as a guest to talk about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it's the same circle.
Keeping in with that line, this is something that a lot of people have been on. You always see that when anime conventions bring on a Japanese guest and they do a panel.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You ever notice that? They'll bring on. I remember Kineticon a while ago. It's because it's Kineticon. But they had the creator of Minky Momo on there.
Hmm.
And he had all this entire panel about kawaii culture and how that all developed in Japan. And it was about a half full panel when really it should have been completely full, because this is important to know, but it's about a half full. So realistically, I said there were two things that we were up against, where it's three things now, because now nobody's convinced that it's important to know any of this stuff.
Right.
Well,
So,
most people be like, "What's a Minky Momo?" That would be.
And to be fair, it really doesn't even matter what he made, unless what he made was like Icon or something like that. But it's that we have a guest from Japan who's involved in the production of this stuff. Please hear what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
But people aren't interested in that, and part of the uphill battle is we need to out what's going to convince people that this stuff is worth knowing. Because if you know this stuff, then all of a sudden, world, and you start understanding that you're being lied to.
What usually gets like the largest amount in a panel is a U.S. voice actor, right?
U.S. voice actors, yep. Which, don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for those people when they do the jobs properly.
How could I be a voice actor? I want to voice anime.
That's the whole thing. It's like you get
like not being
voice
paid.
actors get a whole bunch of this publicity. Can't convince people who get just now in the IRC anime YouTubers. They probably pack these panel rooms, which is a shame, because a lot of them into these first two paradigms, where they just don't know what they're talking about for a lot of the time, or they're just out to spout their opinion without giving any sort of perspective on how this stuff actually works, how this stuff actually operates.
I'm actually kind of right now. I'm actually trying to look for that original comment about that. Actually not finding it very easily, because I don't remember what the title of the actual article was where he said that.
That's all right.
Yeah, but that's the issue, is at the end of we need to convince people that it's worth knowing. So I mean, what what about knowing all this stuff is valuable to you guys?
Okay. Well, for one, it kind of lets you peer into the mechanics of everything. So it's like, okay, you get to see how we get from point A to point Z. And I'm sort of analytical in that way. I'm like that with pretty much anything I enjoy. I like commentaries, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I like it when you get the actual director that directed the thing. Instead of the anime dub actor.
Well, yeah, that's always interesting because let's be honest, they're voicing over something that's already, been done, whereas they're actually giving the character life for the first time. Perhaps that kind of sounded weird. I should have worded that differently, but I think you know what I meant.
No, I get what you're saying.
They're explaining they're explaining their process for why they put in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and their actual thought, not like what someone thought. Yeah,
it's not interpreted through what they think it should be like. I see what you're getting at.
You get to see what was going through the creator's head while they were making the stuff, and by way of that, you get more proper perspective on the show you're watching, and as a result of that, and I don't know if you guys are the same way at this, but I feel more connected to the show if I know stuff like that about it. Like I feel like I understand more about it, and on a grand scale, I understand and get the medium more. All this stuff and I feel like a lot of people would feel sad about knowing how by committee anime is made and the entire process and how much it's business oriented and less so art oriented. That pumps me up. I feel great about knowing that, because it's like I get it now. I can use that as a jumping off point to see, okay, this show has this and its element in it, and we can look at trends, and you can start to chart out not only the direction the industry has gone, but you can start to make predictions, and you can start to read data and make those kinds of inferences based on numbers, based on performance, and that. You can't do that if you don't know anything about it. And I feel like a lot of people don't even want to do that.
Okay, interesting point made here in the chat here. It's going to be harder to understand anime because it's foreign. That's another good point. Because if you're able to look into that you're able to understand it better, because you have somebody that's kind of plugged in to kind of let you know what's going on, rather than just some middleman saying, oh, this is what yada yada. They actually can just tell you.
Someone interpreting it for you.
Yeah, rather than somebody just telling you.
Exactly.
And that's kind of an interesting, again, the fact that it's foreign does kind of pose some problems. I mean, about learning about it, for sure.
It's also amazing when you find out what these creators' influences, and it's nothing like what you expect.
Oh yeah. It again, seeing Mr. Tentacle Rape himself, Toshio Maeda, basically saying that he was just really a big fan of 60s Americana shows and shit. It's like, wait, what? I'm a big fan of I Love Lucy and Bewitched and this sort of thing. Wait, what?
Yeah. You see a lot when you get into it on that level. You start to see a lot of connections, especially in how, just for example, how Japanese media influenced American media and vice versa. Because this is a panel I went to Kineticons ago by a guy named Charles Dunbar. And speaking of people who know about anime and can give you some perspective on it, Charles Dunbar. If you ever see any of his panels on a schedule, go to that panel because but it's one of these things where you start to learn little tidbits of information, and then you investigate that, and that gives you perspective on the medium as a whole. And as a result of that, you gain so much greater perspective and so much greater context on everything that you like.
Well, and here's the thing.
You're that much more connected to the stuff you like.
It's also the whole, like, you find out these people aren't as weird as you think.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I've met numerous people who make really fucked up hentai, and they don't come across as creeps or anything like that. They're actually very, very straightforward. They have normal mannerisms and things like that. They don't come across as like, dude in a cloak in the fucking corner or some shit.
No, they just think of some
they're normal ass people.
Yeah.
Exactly. But what I was going to say is the reason you should learn more about this stuff more than anything else is because it, again, pardon me for the term, but it enriches what you already like about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best thing I can throw out there. Basically, let's be honest, it's a nerdy hobby, and nerdy people and nerdy hobbies, we like to know a lot about the shit we're into.
Well, it's like nerd, and this is something I picked up from the Genshiken book of all places. Like, otaku communicate by trading information, purely by trading information.
Would you say they're database animals? I'm sorry. You set me up for that. I had to do it. Come on, you did.
I actually didn't see that, but that makes sense though. Don't get me wrong. Again, I think Database Animals is a pretentious as hell book, but a lot of the stuff that Azuma is saying, if you take out the value judgment, is absolutely correct.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of information, and people break things down into this database.
Well, sure, but that's not even just an anime thing. People do that in general.
That's a general nerd thing, a general geek thing, a general otaku thing.
That's another thing is a lot of these so-called nerds that are in the spot, like, don't be so nerd,
Yeah.
Yeah. While shaming nerds, basically.
While they're on their anime podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Or again,
go up to your local bank, your fucking teller, from your bank, and tell them you do an anime podcast. See what your reaction is.
See, I'm an anime nerd, but
they'll just be like,
these nerds.
What?
You fucking, well, here's the thing, and here's gonna blow this whole nerd hierarchy shit out of the water. I did that, K-Gods.
Wait, what?
Bank account when I went to start the bank account for She's Lost Control Media, and honestly, it's not even the bank teller. It's where you sit down across a desk from someone.
Okay, and you're basically just giving them the info.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, okay, I want to start a business account. It's okay, blah blah blah. Oh, what's the name? She's Lost Control Media, and it actually wasn't the person sitting across from me. It was someone else who saw the checks printed out on the printer and said, She's Lost Control Media. That's a really cool name. I want to know what kind of company this is. So I told him about it. We run.
Are you a fan of Joy Division?
Anime? Yeah.
You tell them, well, see, I have a store. They sell figures.
Well, no,
one of them's on the toilet. One of them is on the toilet.
Wrong place, bro.
That's the other business. But no, and they thought it was cool. So we can talk about stop being such a nerd, but when you introduce people to this stuff in the right way, they think it's cool. But that's beside the point. What I'm more so saying is by trading information. And the more information you have, and realistically,
the more hit points you have.
It's at this point, it's the more information you can appear to have.
Or should we say MP, mana points or magic points?
No. The more experience points you have.
Ah, okay, yeah. I was trying to shoehorn this into some sort of like Dragon Quest metaphor.
So the more, let's gamify it. The more information you have, the more experience points you have. More experience points you have, the higher level you are. That way.
The higher level you are, the more spells you possess.
The more spells you can cast.
That actually doesn't always. That's not always true with those kind of games.
It's not the more. It depends on your class, really.
That too, but some especially older RPGs, it's based on level when you get certain spells, but other times it's you learn them through other means and shit. So speaking of nerdy tangents,
exactly.
Drawing Girl says, as long as you don't explain lolly and says to animate tentacles are food to normies or traps. Well, you see, traps.
Ball.
Yeah. See, but when you explain that to somebody, you got to go into your Bill Cosby voice.
Well, you see,
it's when the lady has the male parts.
That's actually probably a really bad voice to do, considering.
Yeah. I just realized that.
It's funny.
Well, okay. I was actually gonna say, well, how about Bill Clinton? No, that actually isn't much better.
Well, I was about to say, how about John Madden? Well, you see, what you got to do here is you got to take the little sister.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like bang. You draw the little dry erase board marker. You know, it's like you see, you put this chick right here, and yeah. But this one over here has a penis, and
it's about having information. It's about knowing what you're talking about, and more so, it's about listening. And really a lot of people could, from getting to know people who really appear to know what they're talking about, but also being skeptical, also asking a lot of questions, asking how they came to certain conclusions, because some people don't even know how they came to certain conclusions. They just heard it from somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost akin to those old wives' tales where it's like, oh, if you pop your knuckles, you'll get arthritis, that kind of shit. It's like that's been passed around so long. That's been passed around so long, people still actually believe that. And it's actually totally not true, but
yeah.
It's actually just release of molecules and all that crap. But the thing is, a lot of people still believe that, not because they're stupid per se, but because it's been passed around so much that people have just assumed it's true.
So that's the only thing they've ever been told. Take for a final example of this, and how we can
sponsored by KGB.
How we can get out of it, and how we can understand how things really are. Have either of you two encountered this particular type of paradigm where, okay, you have this newbie anime fan, they start off and they're watching Naruto or something, and they're really, really into it, and they start calling themselves an otaku because they heard that that's what anime fans in Japan will refer to themselves to, and they're sort of going through that weeb phase where they think Japan is like the mecca.
Yeah, where they're starting to shove random Japanese words in the phrases
exactly.
And things, which, to be honest, is kind of annoying, not gonna lie.
It's a phase, and quite honestly, I'd rather be around those people than some of the dispassionate people.
I mean, I'd rather be around a hardcore Naruto fan than somebody who's just like pissed off at the world because all these fucking cute girl anime things are out there, and apparently they molested their cat or some shit. I don't know.
Exactly, and then a more experienced anime fan will come up to that person and say, hey, that's actually a derogatory term in Japan. It's this grave insult, and nobody calls themselves that, and nobody refers to anyone else as that at some point.
Remember the Answer Man where he had to correct himself?
Yes. So we get that paradigm of, and it's still going on. We just had that. What was that? The year, not even a couple months ago that happened, and that's still going on. We still have people deep in that thought process that otaku is this terrible, grave insult. And to be sure, like, people just don't go around calling other people otaku because there's a media spurred sort of stigma surrounding that, but it's not as bad as people want to portray it. We're just now within the last like decade or so starting to get media truth about that, but we still have people like the Answer Man deep in this paradigm.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the problem.
It's one of those words where, like, if you believe these kind of gatekeeper people, if that's an all right word to use,
gatekeeper's a good word.
If you want to believe them, they make it sound like, you know, if you call yourself an otaku, you're basically saying you're Roman Polanski or something weird like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They'd have you think you're basically calling yourself desirable, a leper, by referring to yourself as an otaku. That's not the case. That's not the case. That hasn't really been the case.
Right, but again, information travels slow.
Here's the thing, though.
I'm being
like we live in a world where Asotaro, who referred to himself as an otaku as part of his campaign platform, was able to win the prime minister seat.
Yep.
So either otaku is this terrible
for a short
insult,
time.
or
now it's back to Abe.
Now Abe is back.
Well,
yeah.
And he just got reelected.
Yeah, but this was years ago. But either we're still in the 1991 Tsutomu Miyazaki paradigm, or we're in this paradigm where Otako can be one of the top performing movies in Japan, and an outspoken otaku can win the prime minister's seat.
By the way, guys, I found it. I found the article I was talking about.
All right, so
I actually found it by accident.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember this one.
Yeah, this was from February 7th, 2014. You can tell it's kind of a loaded question. I don't know who asked it, but it does sound pretty loaded.
Oh yeah, any question that sounds, it might be politically incorrect, but
yeah. ... And his answer is pretty interesting, but this answer, I believe, is what got him into trouble.
Yeah, I remember this answer getting
some parts
into some hot water.
Yeah, it shouldn't have, because he's just ultimately, you're reading the numbers. He's not saying it; the numbers are saying it. And
also at this point, and I remember saying this on this podcast because we talked about this in the third segment or something. When, like,
did we cover this when it happened?
We didn't really cover it so much as we kind of talked about it. Like, it was mentioned, and I remember going off about it.
Was it one of the Mad episodes?
Back when Mad episodes. This was back when Anime Nation was still running its store.
Right, and I've bought things from them before.
That being said, if all I'm saying is if someone runs a store, then it in fact behooves them to collect some data on their customers. Stuff like age, stuff like gender, stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's just...
So if John has this information on his customers at the store, what is the argument here? Is my question, and that's why I like John. He tells it as far as he knows. He just disseminates his knowledge. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
But let's be honest, though.
Crap perspective. No stupid. I don't like this thing, so I'm gonna pretend that it's bad. No dumb thing like I haven't done research on the otaku community in like 2 decades, but I'm gonna act like I'm still current with it and then get corrected and have to 2 weeks later have to walk it back. None of that stuff.
Well, what's interesting about that is that's symptomatic of a bigger problem, even with news organizations, though, too. They'll run something and then days later retract it very quietly and low key. Because not only are they embarrassed that they got it wrong, or they still want the original thing they put to be the narrative pushed forward, and they just don't want to be sued. But that sort of thing does happen all the way down to this level.
Yep.
Where when people,
by the way, it's lying.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not on purpose.
At that level where it's part of someone's job to know what they're talking about, then it's lying. Or it's just as bad as lying because they're not doing their job. That's why I went off on that answer man thing. He's not doing his job. And that's why I can't trust him when it comes to certain topics. He didn't make no mistake. Justin Savakis has done some. He did that thing where, like,
the anime industry,
the anime economy, or whatever you call
that's
it.
What it was.
Yeah. He was walking down exactly how anime gets made and read that article so they know so they actually know what they're talking about when they're talking about the anime industry, quote unquote.
Also know why anime actually why it actually costs like $60 for a disc.
So he's done great work, but I don't know how far I can trust him with certain subjects now, because he thought he knew. He thought he didn't need to do research in it. Turns out it was probably a good call to do some research, but he didn't. Got called out on it and walked it back. I can recommend some of his articles if people are trying to learn about stuff, but I can't recommend him as a particular source. I can only recommend certain works that as far as I understand, are on the up and up.
By the way, Kay got My Tool wrote a thing about because you were curious about the movie Gothic Maid.
Mm.
I don't know if I trust anything he has to say either.
If you didn't read it, that's fine.
All right.
No, I'm saying if you didn't read it, that's fine. I'm curious why you brought that up.
Oh, because you were interested in the Gothic Maid anime.
To be fair, yeah, I don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it wasn't a review. It was more like why it hasn't been,
why it's kind of stuck in limbo.
Yeah, why it hasn't like had a physical release, because basically like about it basically wrote about anime that hasn't had like that's been like poorly archived and isn't like modern, like it being able to see in modern.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, and this is, I actually can corroborate this. If you go to a local Barnes and Noble or anything like that, you do tend to see more women in the manga section. I can vouch for that.
Only one in the manga section of my local bookstore, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, my local bookstore it's relatively fairly populated. It's probably because they offer coffee and shit in the little cafe. But nah, it's generally there's a decent amount of people in there. Which, if you were to read the press on how much the print industry is hurting, you would expect it to be fucking vacant.
Oh yeah.
It's not though. It's always got people there.
But
So
that to wrap, I think the most valuable advice I can give to someone who wants to learn about anime is, number one, read books. Number two, ask questions of the people who are giving you information. Ask how they came to the conclusions they came to, because force them to evaluate or give some thought to how they got to where they got to, because sometimes people end up in a place and don't know how they got there, and that's how we get a bunch of misinformation.
kind of like the
And
kid
number
that's
three,
lost,
Japanese.
the kid that's lost at Toys R Us. Anyhow, are we going to a? Didn't you say you had something?
Yeah, so we got mail, and then I got something else to sort of an announcement, and we'll
Do that. After
cover
the
that
break.
in the third segment. Yes, keep it right here on NTR Radio.
Can we wrap it up by 11 o'clock? I think. All right, he's got his thing on.
Yeah, I think you had to do something. I'm sure he's getting some sort of item or something that he can show off or whatnot, because clearly there's a he normally just doesn't leave like that unless he's got some other.
Oh, I know what he's getting. Probably the new type magazines. I think he's.
Yeah, but I doubt that has anything to do with the announcement, though.
All right.
Since that was kind of not planned to talk about that, really. So, in the meantime, been playing any video games?
Yeah. I was telling.
Oh, there he is.
I tell you, I was playing R-Type and Gradius.
Oh yeah, yeah. I came in when you guys were talking about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You weren't. A couple other ones, but those were like the two prominent ones.
Right.
Like the PC Engine versions, which are
right. Okay.
a little bit more arcade level than the.
Were you
NES.
playing with any kind of like joystick or?
I play with this. I don't know if you could see.
Oh, I've got one of those. Actually,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I've got like the 2 generations later version of that.
The only thing is, because I use a Mac, I have to use a thing called USB override,
Oh, okay.
which is the only way I can use this. But that disables the scrolling thing on my mouse, so I have to like restart. If I want to play a game, restart it, but then I take it off when I uninstall it when I'm like browsing, because browsing is kind of a bitch with it, because I like the scrolling. So
I'd like to know what again all the obnoxious Mac people mean when they say it just works, if you have to do all that to play a video game.
I don't know, but I still like my Mac because
I don't know. I'm not shitting on you. I'm shitting on all the people who superior platform when you have to do a whole bunch of bullshit to.
no,
play
I
all
understand that it has trouble with gaming, but well,
Let's be honest. It's largely not meant for gamers. It's meant more for like to be user friendly for people who aren't really terribly great at computers most of the time. Because most people I know that have them are not tech savvy at all. Most people. Some people just
sorry,
like.
I'm not a very I'm.
Some people I know just like the design or the interface or something like that.
You know, this few weeks has been kind of crazy with like. I don't want to get into it, but it's like this group of people want me to upgrade to this thing, and this group of people wanted me to upgrade this thing, and I had to have a new insulin pump and learn how that works. So you know what I mean. I feel like, and I'm the type of person where I don't really advance that far in
easy now.
In technology sense.
Have you got everything?
So
have you got everything you need there, Anubis?
I am just about all set. Let me bring up this email.
Oh no, email. Dun dun dun.
Email.
Like I said, I'm almost disappointed it's not the Russian guy. Pleased to be meeting you, NTR Radio.
I love your. It's like I think you got the wrong NTR.
Yeah, pretty sure they're talking about that Dutch show.
Tell me where I could buy toilet chat.
Russians don't sound like that, bro. That sounded more like an Italian.
All right. Ready on third segment in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
All right.
Mail.
Incoming message.
This one's coming to us from our good friend, the anime misogynist.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's funny.
The anime misogynist is really not entertained with me and my gaming preferences. Dear NTR losers, on a recent episode of your oh so irrelevant web radio show, NTR Radio Gaiden 28, comments about the fighting game franchise Tekken. In fact, you were so mean to Tekken. I don't know how you bastards can sleep at night. Tekken is a great game.
I don't care. I never even played Tekken, so I have no opinion. He's the one that
busy.
Sorry.
Tekken is a great game where I can unlock all the characters and see all of their endings, and that counts for a lot. Also, you allege that people who play Tekken are, quote, button mashers, unquote, who don't know what they're doing. But that's a damn lie. True that the triangle button makes June do a back handspring, and that move got me through arcade mode like 30 times. She also has several 3-button combos, and I did those combos intentionally more than once. There are also cool characters like pandas and kangaroos and people from Brazil.
Okay.
People from Brazil.
I will admit that Tekken 4 is pretty lame, since they took away all the moves that Jin Kazama inherited from his mom in that game. And what the F was up with that? It was majorly disrespectful to Jun Kazama, and not cool, Namco. Jun died for our sins to protect us from the evil devil Kazuya Mishima, and she deserves mad respect. Anyway, please apologize for your irresponsible slander of Tekken. Otherwise, I'm going to be forced to report you to the greater fighting game community. Even nothing if not supportive of the Tekken franchise. Save yourselves while you still can. Regards, anime misogynist.
Hey, Eddie. Eddie Gordo.
Okay. Okay. So I understand that people get mad when I hate on Tekken. And trust me, because I used to play Tekken. I did it when I needed a break from. I played Tekken when I desperately needed a break from video games. Also,
yes.
Also, we're gonna and honestly, I'm not gonna apologize, which means we're gonna get reported to the greater fighting game community. So what we're really so this is the same community that allows Tekken to get to a pro level, and really the same community that allows stuff like Super Smash Brothers to get to a pro level. So what we're really doing is we're gonna end up fighting against one dude, handsprings, and capoeira all the time. Another person who has deliberately turned off half of their capabilities in order to try and make himself competitive, when really just made himself a boring game. that's trying to be a competitive fighting game. What I'm really saying is everyone should just play Virtua Fighter. Just play a real game. God.
Well, anime misogynist, I highly recommend you check out Dead or Alive for reasons that.
No, I don't. You think I want this person in the Dead or Alive community out here doing back handsprings and shit? No.
But Anubis, they're called the anime
this person
misogynist.
is in my greater listen. Yeah, realistically, Dead or Alive would be the perfect game for the anime misogynist. But I feel like but coming from someone who's obviously so well versed in Tekken, I feel like it would be too hard a game. Because what's really gonna happen is the anime misogynist starts playing Dead or Alive, and what he really wants to, because he's a misogynist, so what he really wants to do is like beat up Kasumi. But he can't do that because it's a real game with actual challenge in it. You can't get you might be able to beat the first couple stages by just button mashing and doing bullshit combos. But as soon as people start countering, all you're going to end up with is Kasumi and Ayane. Ayane's got this one attack where she jumps up on the character's shoulder and wheels around and kicks him in the back of the head. And all that's just going to be happening for the entire game. It's going to be very frustrating for our friend, the anime misogynist. So I actually wouldn't recommend getting into Dead or Alive if they're also into Tekken.
Perhaps Senran Kagura?
Oh no, because that's a celebration. I feel like that's not, like you're trying to maliciously beat on women. That's not the game you're trying to. It's not the game you're gonna play.
That's a celebration of fighting breast cancer or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-Fighter X for the Saturn.
I don't know, maybe we can move on to something like, I don't know, Club Penguin or Habbo Hotel, something easy, something you can handle.
Clay Fighter.
Kasumi Ninja for the Jaguar.
Killer Instinct.
Or their Killer Instinct, the Welfare Mortal Kombat. That's a perfect game.
No, the welfare Mortal Kombat is Kasumi Ninja.
Well, here's the thing. So here's the breakdown of fighting games. Tekken is the welfare Virtua Fighter, and to a certain extent, Tekken is also the welfare Dead or Alive, even though Dead or Alive, like I believe Dead or Alive came. But that aside, nobody's heard of Kasumi Ninja, so it can't be the welfare Mortal Kombat, because at least people have heard of Killer Instinct, and Killer Instinct goes for the same thing.
Yeah, because although some of the characters were kind of cool, like Glacius or Fulgor or whatever.
It's got cool characters, unlike Tekken, but
ouch.
It's trying to be Mortal Kombat, and it really isn't. Listen. Bloody Roar. Get into Bloody, because it's not particularly hard, but it's more of a challenge than Tekken. I remember I used to play Tekken. I think it was
Anybody
Tekken
remember
3 or whichever game had Gon in it. The little fucking lizard with the shell on its back. And
yeah.
The great thing about Gon is that no like medium or high attacks work against him because he's short, so they all fly directly over his head. So you actually don't need to block any of those attacks because you just avoid them all by default.
Or how
this is how Tekken is.
How about, okay, I got a couple other ones. How about Primal Rage?
See, I've heard of that one, but I've never actually seen it.
It's basically Mortal Kombat with dinosaurs.
Dude, that was a big one for me.
Like one of the things was the ape dude. He, like, one of his finishers, he just pisses on you. It's like acid. It's like
It's like Tekken. It's like Tekken if every character was that fucking raptor with the boxing gloves.
No, it's not that corny.
Isn't there a character that's just called Devil and then another one Angel?
that I could have sworn there is something like
Tekken.
that. Yeah, I think there actually is something like that. But who fucking knows? I haven't played Tekken forever. It's like I could play Tekken, but I could not waste my time and play Soul Calibur.
I could play Tekken, but I also own Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Fighter 4, Virtua Fighter 5, Virtua Fighter 3. I also own Dead or Alive 3, 4. I own Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball too. Like this is
Which isn't really a fighting game, but it's still worth playing.
It's not a fighting game, but it's a lot more worth playing than Tekken is.
Certainly easier on the eyes. Okay. Nobody could see the stupid facial expression I was making when I said that, so. Anyway, that's amusing.
I'm not apologizing for hating a bad game.
Ouch.
So, moving on. Friend Karen from the Otaku Sphere started a little campaign.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to try to, because I didn't prepare myself, try to retrieve this. The entire we were talking on Discord a while ago about how we're gonna get Funimation to understand that their actual customers are concerned about what they've been doing with their dubs and their localization scripts. And we decided is to show that we are actual customers and we are concerned. So it's a kind of basically an open letter writing campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting this in the IRC. You're going to go to open letter to funny, that's FUNI.wordpress.com. And there you'll find my letter, you'll find Kevin Faulkner's letter from and Bakugajin Show. And basically it's set up so to where you have a form, you can submit your own letter naturally, keep it respectful, keep it on topic. Basically to show Funimation that there are actually legitimate customers concerned about what they're doing and that they should pay attention.
And there you have it.
Just show it that it isn't all like salty anti-Twitter people who wouldn't have supported, who just hate dubs and used what happened with prison school and whatnot as an excuse to hate on dubs more, just to show that it isn't people who just this as justification for piracy, to show that it's people who actually. I attached a photo of all my Funimation releases, including the prison school purchase that I feel stupid about now, and do like that. Say, hey, we're your customers. These are our concerns. Please do something. And optionally, I'm not buying in your shit again until I see a commitment to this.
Till you comply. Basically.
Pretty much.
Okay, so check that out. That's pretty interesting. I actually didn't know where you were going to go with this until you started talking about that. All right. And yeah, so all right, so I think that'll be
funny.wordpress.com.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this installment.
Indeed, the show. The website is she's lost. No, it's not anymore. See how embedded this stuff is in my head? The website is ntrradio.net. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The vzmk2moemekagatai.wordpress.com. Check out my stuff at iashike.moe. Check out all the half-naked anime figures you can buy at shinikiba.moe. The Open Letter to Funny campaign at openlettertofunny.wordpress.com. You can check me out on Twitter at TEAnubis. You can check VZ out on Twitter at VZMK2. You can't check out K-Gods on Twitter. You can check out the show on Twitter at NTR_radio. Check out because they're really good. Check out Otaku Midnight because they're really good. Check me out at Anime NYC this weekend, this coming weekend, the weekend of 18th through the 19th. And I'm Tom before Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
I'm VZ Mark II.
Children are learning every time we say it. This is NTR Radio.